TFD brings standardization in the investment product, but also standardization in the way the underlying assets are presented and the way they're monitored on an ongoing basis. Because ultimately, one thing that securitization cannot achieve, despite what people believed prior to the crisis, was take bad assets and make them into good assets. But it can take good assets and make them easier to hold for a wider investor base and bring other enhancements to them in the process.
Exactly, and that's why perhaps previously the BAFT style MRPA market has actually functioned pretty well with bank-to-bank investors, because actually they are good assets and they're digested in a way that the banks can understand. But here we're talking about investors that cannot necessarily understand or absorb assets in that way, so we need notes. And so if we can create a way that everyone can absorb those assets in the same way, in a scalable fashion, so that it's not just one risk, but a diverse pool of lots of good risks, we then can mimic, again, what happened in the securitization market, but across the entire portfolios of banks, which really is going to be the holy grail.
Yeah, I completely agree. And one very important theme I'm seeing in the market is the use of insurance as one of the enhancements that securitization can bring into the process. Because rather, ultimately, with an MRPA, you're facing a bank, but the underlying risk is unlikely to be rated, and that risk can be insured against, creating a security with a rating, which can be the rating of the insurance company. I don't know if that's obviously this is something you're very involved in.
Exactly, and that is something that we're looking at as well in terms of AIG not only funding the assets, but also AIG ensuring those investors that are getting into trade finance assets and need that additional layer of protection to make it an asset class that is acceptable for them to invest in. As the insurer or as the funder, when we see, for example, legal opinions on the enforceability of assets for each jurisdiction or non-consolidation opinions, they're different with every single investor, with every single asset. It would be great through this initiative to be able to see one answer for each of the relevant jurisdictions or structures, so that essentially you're able to access a number of different assets through the same due diligence rather than repeating the due diligence each time. So that's the sort of connect to many instead of the connect to one approach.